just finished our 40th year of operations in August, and it's gone by real quickly. And we as a group have decided several years ago to take the pace up, and it's been an interesting ride. I thought I would share with you, if it's okay, a little bit of history, because there's a lot of entrepreneurship that you've seen today, and how a dream became a reality. So I hope you wouldn't mind me going back to some history. Two of the speakers did talk about sports, and while there are some Cowboy fans, I sure hope there's some big Buffalo Bill fans. So my hat with me. I have a green Buffalo Bills hat, and for those people who are Jets fans, some of them think I'm a Jets fan. I get a little confused. So Bills fans are very bright and they can see through that. And I think we're getting better finally, after about 25 years of being the worst team in pro football. Just a quick question, anyone who knows this, because I've asked it before, it's a piece of trivia, very few have gotten it. I came across somebody who did. Does anyone know, who I've not shared this with, what team and what quarterback had the biggest comeback in NFL playoff history?
Frank Reich.
Excellent. That's wonderful. I think some people knew. Frank Reich came in and came back with Houston, and a whole bunch of folks from this area. We went up to the game, and we were down 35-3 in the third quarter, and won in overtime, 41-38. The next question is, anyone know in Division, I believe this is still true, the Division I football, what quarterback and what team had the biggest comeback in NCAA Division I history?
Frank Reich.
Boy, this is a smart group. It's Frank Reich, who I was hoping would be the head coach of Buffalo, but he ended up in Indianapolis, and has been a very successful in his first year. But that's when some quarterbacks that were backups were really sensational. I thought I would share a little bit of the beginning. I hope we can get that to work. I don't know. I have some expertise here. Okay, you run that for me? Would that be okay?
Sure.
Good, I'll blink at you. How our business began, and I hope you don't mind me sharing way back. There are people out there who are brilliant scientists, musicians, athletes. All of us individually probably have a unique talent somewhere. Mine was math. It wasn't music, and it wasn't some other things. So as a young person, my dad commuted 3 hours a day, which is not uncommon in major city areas. And it was on a railroad, and he'd come back and like to look at his newspaper. And as a 3, 4, 5-year-old, I was a Yankees fan. And I would grab his newspaper, and at that age, I could remember batting averages. So if you looked at people like Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra, my favorite philosopher, and Moose Skowron, you could ask me what that is, at age 4, I probably knew. And people were impressed about that, but it's just memorizing numbers. So my father, who had a huge influence, and my mother as well, for part reasons to get me away from the sports page, because he wanted to look at it, because I grabbed it, said, what can we do with this young person who seems to have an ability in math, a real good ability, and get him away from the sports page? Now, most of you were far too young, but in the 1950s, there was no internet. And people's knowledge about investments was really a world difference than today, and you'd be surprised how little most people knew. So anyway, they decided that they would get me 1 share of stock for Christmas. It was Texas Gulf Sulfur, and it was an $11 purchase that they paid plus a commission, and it paid $1 dividend. Now, $1 dividend on $11 stock is about a 9% yield, and that might be attractive, but it also has an implication, because it's so high a rate. And what happened was exactly what you might expect. They cut their dividend. So I started getting checks in the mail, and there were no computers. They were stenciled or hand typed. And my father's name, my name, uniform gifts to minors, address, New York. And they cut it from $1.25 every 3 months to 40 cents. The check was for 10 cents. We had to run down to the bank, and I see Tom Carr. his time probably, but they posted it and they got the dime in the account. The first and second time, they probably thought it was cute. I think the third and fourth time said, why did we do this? But if you could memorize baseball averages, guess what else you can memorize? So people would ask, and now I'm 6 years old or something, what is AT&T selling for? What's IBM selling for? And I memorized the numbers. I didn't know anything, but people mistook that for knowledge. And then when I got a little bit older, I started reading a little bit. I don't want to exaggerate, it was very little. And then by the time I was in high school, there were people who I was asking advice, again, at a fairly basic level. And by the time in college and in graduate school, I was helping people as a hobby. And I was very fortunate. My wife Bobby is here. We went to high school together and had old-fashioned values. She wanted to be a school teacher, and she was extraordinary. And I wanted to basically try to help people and do all sorts of financial things in one place. So when I came out of graduate school, I couldn't find what we're doing now. I looked long and hard, and it basically was either you were in sales or products, and I'm an accountant, so that's not a good fit. You were investment banking, which was very relationship driven, and I'm very values driven, as Bobby and our kids are. Or you could end up in asset management, which tended to be at bank trust departments and insurance agencies. I couldn't find this, so we were so fortunate to make a decision to join Corning Glassworks at the time. I was the acquisition guy, and I had 6 jobs in 5 years. No, I had 5 jobs in 6 years, excuse me. And I was helping a lot of people as a hobby. And I told folks I wanted to set up this business. And when I had a 30th birthday, it was like, you know, you can't talk about it anymore. Do you want to do it? And was so fortunate because I was working with a lot of the senior executives. And I said, I'm going to go do this. I need a lot of time and a lot of money. And they all basically said, we're in. So we set the company in, incorporated August 28, 1978. We just finished 40 years of operations. And we had 7 directors, and I'm the only employee. So I had 7 bosses, and I was the asset manager, I was the secretary, I was the janitor, and everything else. And we started off in one room in the old First Bank building in Corning. The rent was $35.50 a month. 170.5 square feet and 5 cents on the copier in the honor system. And we got launched, and we've had a real Camelot story ever since. The firm right now, maybe you could do that for me, is the concept is very simple, but it's complicated. There are people who have many advisors. You can have a financial planner, you can have insurance agents, you can have stockbrokers, you can have asset managers, you have attorneys, and other consultants that can help. And the world's very complicated, and having known a lot of the senior executives and worked closely with them, time is of the essence and trust is most important. So the whole concept, which was the dream from when I was quite young, not 4 or 5, but probably 15, was to have one place with the highest of ethics and values that provides a complete comprehensive service, unlimited, as much as people want to use it, that does everything. And that's a simple concept, but you have to have a lot of people and talent. And we've been extremely blessed being in this community. We've had extraordinary levels of retention of clients at rates that are unprecedented, at least as far as my knowledge. We've had incredible longevity of staff, directors, and shareholders. So I'm here very, very lucky to have had so many wonderful people who have helped the firm become what it is. We decided several years ago, we have now 9 directors, and 5 of them are not in this community. They come from long and far, that we weren't content to just sort of continue in this path. We decided we wanted to try to grow this concept and take it further, and it's been a busy ride. As we're speaking, we're in the midst of moving about 50 out of 75 is on the list, people over to big flats. And I want to thank some of the folks and organizations that have done so much for us. Steg, the IDA, the town of Big Flats, and many others have gone to extreme limits to welcome us. And we are so excited to have this happen. And we have another office in Rhinebeck, New York, and we have one in Rochester as an affiliate. So approximately, we would have about 65 employees in this region of about 70, well, we have a little seasonal in that group, and we'll have about 3/4 of them in Big Flats. And we're full right now, and there's a tenant that has 9,000 square feet. There's some pictures, I can go back, that one, good. With all the renovations, and we welcome everybody to come in and visit with us. The hope of the company is to take it headquartered in both Corning and Big Flats in this area, more of to a larger scale. We're managing very close, depending on the day and the market, to approximately $1 billion of assets. We have about 950 client families in approximately 41 states and more than 6 countries. Now, some states are 1. And Alaska and Hawaii, we might have somebody come, and then next time, 6 months later, we don't have anyone in that state, they moved. But we've been very privileged, and we've brought in people from far and near. 2 of the folks in the office here who are sitting here, one came about a dozen years ago, a bit more from Texas, and another one, Chris, just joined us, and he came here from Austria. The irony is he was born in Corning, and that is a real coincidence. So we are, one of the things I did want to mention, you can see that we have been recruiting people to join the firm from a lot of locations. Some are local and some are distant. Recruiting is really critical, especially being in a small city. And if we can partner with other folks to bring in talented people with all sorts of backgrounds and experience to this community, it's important for us, and it's also very important to the community. And our plan is to try to grow in an organic fashion and maybe open other offices, but we're totally committed to being headquartered in this region. While we'll have split offices in terms of location, because we are maintaining an important presence in Corning, we are just so excited, and after 40 years, we're trying to do it again. And this community has played more than an incredible part in any of the success that we have had. We've been extraordinarily fortunate to have developed a very close family orientation with the staff and have wonderful people that have been highly dedicated, taken us to this point. So we're honored to be here. We're thrilled to be having a headquarters in Chemung County, and we felt that we have had benefited enormously from many people's efforts on our behalf. So thank you, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot of people over the time in Chemung County. Thank you.